Invite a Budget Blinds style consultant to show you how to transform your rooms just by changing your window coverings. Canada's #1 choice for window coverings. Visit budgetblinds.ca today.
A 20-year-old woman from the Cahuin First Nation is facing charges following an incident in Bonnyville yesterday. Several complaints were received that a woman cut into the Canada Day parade and was driving erratically. She was involved in a collision with a building and one of the floats in the parade. The woman was eventually stopped by police and was found to have an impaired level of twice the legal limit. Lori Watchmaker is charged with impaired driving and dangerous driving. She will appear in court next month. Well, as Canadians celebrated the nation's birthday yesterday, it was also a chance to recognize the cultures that makes Canada unique. Traditional Indian dancers were just one of the many cultural attractions that entertained the crowd at Lakeland College yesterday. It was all part of the second annual We Are One No Borders event organized through Lloydminster Catholic Social Services.
Each and every one of these people love Canada. They also love their home country, and they just want to share all that wealth and goodness. And so today's a perfect day to do that.
I was a little naive thinking everybody's just going to be the same, but Canada turned out to be a little bit more different than I was because I'm from Florida. I ain't know nothing about this, and here I am now seeing all sorts of different cultures: Asian, Indian, Scandinavian, Ukrainian, Africa, Mexico, all sorts of different cultures just coming together into one big thing, and it's a beautiful thing.
More than 12 different countries were represented at the free event. Well, many of you return to work today after a day off for Canada Day, but with the smoky sky and the midweek holiday, the crowds at Bud Miller Park were a lot lighter this year. Eva Zawalek has more in this story.
You couldn't take 2 steps without seeing red and white, colors worn by those who love this country.
Canada Day rocks.
We live in the greatest country in the world, and we get to celebrate all the good things that it comes with.
The day started off with rain, which might have deterred some from coming to the park, but when it subsided, the crowds began to trickle in.
I really like the cars. I like coming and seeing all the vehicles that people have put together and restored and stuff like that. The kids, they love just being around all the people, seeing the Canadian flag everywhere, and of course the jumpy slides.
We've actually had a pretty good turnout, not as many as we've had in past years when it's been really hot, but it's perfect temperature, it's got a nice breeze, and people are enjoying the day.
While the amount of people that showed up to the park might have fallen from years past, the number of volunteers that signed up skyrocketed.
We've had about 2 or 3 volunteers in the past, and this year we have about 50 volunteers that have stepped up and helped us out.
The pot of gold at the end of this rainbow: no sunburn, shorter lineups, and better seats at the fireworks show. Eva Zawalek, Newcap News.
Well, with students free for the summer, it means organized school sports and activities are no more. But for some, there's no need to stop being active, especially younger ones into gymnastics in Lloydminster. Special summer camps are being held for kids up to 12 years old. Anna Knotfate has more in this week's Healthy Living.
As Emily flips around, she's in her happy place.
As you do it, it gets fun and amazing.
She's been doing gymnastics ever since she was 3 years old and fell in love with parts like the trampoline, the balance beam, and the bar.
We do cartwheels. Like sometimes our teacher asks us to do certain stuff on certain beams, and then we do it all over again sometimes.
About an hour and a half in the morning of gymnastics and about the same amount in the afternoon where they actually do a class. So we do the circuits with them, and then they get to do some free time, some games.
Staff say the summer program is also good for those first-timers wanting to try out the sport.
Oh, it would be a perfect idea, actually. They get a little taste of gymnastics, but it's very relaxed. It's very basic gymnastics. They learn how to do handstands, forward rolls, that sort of stuff.
And for many, without a normal sports routine throughout the summer, it can be easy to fall out of shape. But staff say gymnastics is a base to many different sports.
Because it works your whole body. It works your upper muscles, your arms, your legs, your torso. So they do it for summer even, and they're a bit more prepared to go out and do soccer, hockey, football, kind of whatever they want to do after that.
Summer or not, Emily won't be stepping off these mats anytime soon.
As you're older, you can do cooler things.
Anna Connaught, Newcap News.
While some producers choose one aspect of agriculture as their specialty, other producers diversify their operation. This could include cattle, grain, and oil leases, as is the case with one area producer in Paradise Hill. Gerard Lampow has more in this week's Agriculture Report.
It's a good balance.
The Moore family started farming in this area in 1907. The property was registered in 1910 and they got the Century Award for farming in 2010. The operation started with about 30 head of cattle, but during the BSE years, it diversified into grain. The property has grown to over 6,000 acres with horses and more than 250 head of cattle, and there's room for oil leases.
The oil companies do a great job. They come around, they put berms around the outside. They maintain those berms by spraying the weeds off.
The oil companies either have grass on the berms or do weed control.
Every summer, right about now, they'll be coming around, cutting all the grass or doing all the spraying. So they minimize the weed control from creeping out into our fields.
The berms and the containment barrier around the tanks protect against spills on the lease. This is crucial for a farming operation that has both grain and cattle and has had to deal with spillage.
There's been a few, but we don't have to deal with them. They look after them. They just let us know that it's happened, and they look after cleaning it all up. And if there's any damages, they're ready to pay for it.
But there's one problem for this grain producer as he navigates around the oil leases during seeding season.
There is a bit of a issue with if you have too many wells on your land, then you're constantly trying to go around them with the drill, and it takes more time to seed the land, but it is money in your pockets.
Gerard Lampow, Newcap News.
This Ag Report is brought to you by the Lloydminster Co-op Agro Center. Depend on them for product, tools, and expert advice. Shop at your local Lloyd Co-op Agro Center with branch locations in Lashburn and Neilburg.
Results from the recent Western Canadian cow-calf survey are being released. Kathy Larson, the beef economist at the Western Beef Development Center, says the results showed the average cow-to-bull ratio was 25-1, and the average breeding season length was 93 days. The survey was a collaborative effort involving provincial producers associations, ministries of agriculture, and the Beef Cattle Research Council. CanFax and the Western Beef Development Center. The last time the production survey was conducted was in 1998.